If your saddle's too low, you'll be uncomfortable and less efficient. If it's too high, you risk tendon and joint injury, and rocking from side to side to pedal will chafe as well. There are a number of ways to determine saddle height, but the most useful rule of thumb, we think, is that your knee should be slightly bent when your foot is at the bottom of the pedal stroke.
Now, this one is certainly worth spending a good bit of time on, and if you're still getting pain in or around your knees after a few saddle height adjustments, then it might be worth seeking specialist help. The IBFI, or International Bike Fitting Institute, has a great website to help you locate a qualified fitter near to you. Fitters range from level 1 through to the most qualified level 4 fitters. The price might seem high, but getting yourself dialed on the bike could mean that you avoid an injury, so in our opinion, they're really worth it.
Now, Liam, can you go up any of the hills in Bath in your hardest gear?
Oh, absolutely not. My knees and back kind of hurt at the mere thought.
Using your gears is one of the first things to get the hang of when you first start out. We often see newbies grinding along in their bike's hardest gear, then walking up the most gentlest of slopes. More rarely, a rider will have their legs spinning out furiously as they potter along at about 5 miles an hour because their bike's in the easiest gear.
Yeah, so the simplest thing to do is ask and then play. So ask the shop or person that you're buying the bike from how the gears work. A good shop will walk you through things. Then don't be afraid to have a play around with those gears. Learning by doing is the name of the game here.
Well, related to this is buying a bike with gears that are too hard. The popularity of compact chain sets with easier gears than those used by racers means this is less of a problem than it used to be. But it bears mentioning anyway, some road bikes come with big heavy gears because they're specifically intended for racing. Unless you live in a flat area or intending to race, you want a bike with easier gears so that you can simply get up those pesky hills, to be honest. The telltale feature to avoid is a chain set with 53 and 39 tooth chain rings. Instead, you want to go for a compact with a 50 and 34 tooth chain ring. You can get easier still with a subcompact, which is a 48-30.
Oh, and while we're here, worth taking a look at the rear sprockets too. A sprocket set with a range from 11 to 23 teeth, well, that's for flat riding. Look for a larger sprocket with 30, 32 or 34 teeth, which will give you an easier bottom gear so that you can spin more easily up hills.
Most shops offer a free service 30 days after you buy the bike. This gives the shop a chance to make sure the gears and brakes are working properly after the cables have had a chance to bed in, and to check the wheels are true as well. A surprising number of people don't take their bike in for this free check though, and that's a real shame because as well as the useful mechanical check, it is a really great chance to chat with your bike shop and get answers to any cycling questions that might just be bugging you.
I have to say, I used to love doing these checks. It is a great chance to catch mechanical issues before they become annoying for the customer, which is great as a mechanic, and you can get just have a nice chat about how they're finding their new cycling love. And sometimes people bring you cookies, and I really like that. You absolutely do not have to dress in the tightest lycra to go cycling, but there are a few garments that we'd suggest avoiding.
Yeah, so true that. And jeans seem to be the big one for us. They have seams in all the wrong places, and being cotton will get very cold, heavy and clingy if it rains. Cotton t-shirts aren't the best either. We're just exampling all of this here. They can get very damp either through sweat or rain, and they take an absolute age to dry. In the summer that will leave you feeling all clammy, and in the winter it's a ticket to catching a bit of a chill.
And Becca, that tees up the classic one of wearing underwear under your bib shorts. The point of cycling shorts is that the lycra shell moves with your body as you pedal, and the pad sits against your skin to protect you from chafing. Underwear of any sort interferes with that, adding seams and bunching in places where you really don't want it.
Yep, just go commando under your Lycra, and if you're not loving the look, a pair of gym or running shorts over the top is the answer to that. It is a classic rookie error. The road goes upward and you attack it with gusto, only to turn the second corner and find that A, there's a lot more hill than you expected, and B, your legs and lungs are already screaming at you. You've depleted your reserves, put yourself into oxygen debt, and your body's had enough.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you'll have an easy gear to let you recover. If not, you may find yourself roadside having a little rest, which I've done before several times.
Me too.
The trick to combating this is pacing. Sure, once you're supremely fit, you can go flying up them. But even a Tour de France rider has to meter out their effort so that their supreme physiological engines get them to the summit without faltering.
I wonder what that's like.
Yeah.
For beginners, the first step in learning to pace yourself is to start in a low gear, perhaps even your lowest. Spin easily, breathing steadily, and find a rhythm that you feel that you could sustain all day. When you're sure you're completely comfortable, then it's time to click up a gear and pick up the pace. A heart rate monitor can be really useful as a tool for measuring your level of effort as well.
Cycling needs fuel, and your body doesn't have a limitless store of it. After riding for a couple of hours or so, you will have used up the glycogen in your muscles and liver. That can lead to the dreaded bonk when you get lightheaded and wobbly and you have to stop for food. I managed to visit this place very often. It's very dark. Best to not get to that stage by eating little and often when you ride. How you take on fuel is up to you. There's a whole sports nutrition industry ready to sell you energy gels, drinks and bars, or you can just eat actual food like bananas, sandwiches and stuff like that. There's also my preferred method of the mid-ride cafe stop.
I know, so many options, bit of both. But it's just as important not to overdo it. A big meal straight before a ride can leave you feeling nauseous when you put in any sort of effort, and it might just make you feel that bit more sluggish. The combination of cooling down and a full belly after a mid-ride meal can produce post-lunch syndrome, where you just feel that you can't get going again. It's called cafe legs, really, isn't it?
Yep.
If you like a big lunch, don't stop for it immediately before a big hill, or if you do, just take it easy.
Yeah.
If you're fit from another sport, it's tempting to throw yourself in at the cycling deep end, bashing out mega miles. But fitness is activity specific, and even if your heart and lungs are in really good shape from, say, running, for example, your pedaling muscles might not be. Getting straight into pounding out big distances means you risk overuse injuries and fatigue, so build up gradually, we'd say, is really important. With a little bit of patience, you'll soon be knocking out centuries.
You don't need much to get yourself out of mechanical trouble on the road, but without the bare minimum, you're walking if things go wrong. The absolute essentials are a couple of spare tubes, a pump, tyre levers, all of which will get you out of the most common problem, a flat tyre. Add a multi-tool and you'll be able to tighten most things that come loose as you ride.
If you're heading out with a club, then they should, if they're a lovely bunch, be happy to assist with the fix or lend you a tube. But being able to get yourself sorted is the goal. It's so valuable, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you can get yourself home and just have that peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely, because as well, with a club, there's only so many times you can say, well, could I borrow that tube? Knowing full well it ain't getting back to them.
Even if it's cloudy, there can be plenty of ultraviolet getting through to damage your skin. With the breeze on your skin as well, you won't feel yourself burning until it's far too late. We've all unfortunately experienced it. And it's easy to be out on the bike for long enough to get very badly burnt. The answer, of course, is sun cream with a sun protection factor of at least 30 and preferably we'd say 50. Apply it liberally 20 minutes before a ride to really give it that effective time to soak into your skin, and then top it up every couple of hours as sweat can really wash it off. Make sure you get plenty on areas that are more exposed than usual, like the back of your neck and importantly the back of your calves, a really prone area, the tops of your knees, tops of your ears, and well, you get the idea.
One thing that many of us do is neglect our local bike shop. I used to work in one and I'm guilty of this.
I know, I think a lot of people are, and you can get amazing prices for bike stuff online, of course, but for a beginner, it is so worth cultivating a relationship with a good bike shop. As well as offering knowledgeable technical advice, a bike shop is often the centre of a cycling community. Whether it's dedicated to club riding, triathlon, racing, or mountain biking, finding the right bike shop for you and spending money there is a great way to tap into the local scene and advance your riding. It's an absolutely brilliant community hub.
If you've just joined a club or started riding with a group, you do have a lot to learn about positioning and moving in a line of riders. One of the most common mistakes is thinking that taking a turn on the front will be easy because you're not having to work very hard while you're sat in the group. Thing is, the draft from the riders in front gives you a big advantage. You can do up to 40% less work than the rider in front of you, depending on the conditions. You can be cheerfully pootling along while the rider up front is working pretty darn hard.
And I can vouch for that, being an absolute wheel sucker myself. It's worth knowing that nobody is going to think badly of a new rider that doesn't take a long, hard turn on the front every so often. So do not bury yourself trying to do your fair share before you're fit enough to comfortably finish, say, an 100-kilometre club ride, because you could get into so much difficulty with actually getting home.
And I'd say as well, don't hang around at the back of the group trying to stay out of the way of the more experienced riders. The problem with this is that anything that stretches the group out at the front has a far greater effect on the riders at the back. You can waste a lot of energy getting back onto the group every time. It's far better to ride at the front of the group, maybe in second or third wheel, where you can more easily respond to if the pace picks up, and you can also ask for mercy if it picks up a bit too much.
And I think people are generally friendly and accommodating, aren't they? If you said, I want to pull through with a short turn, or actually rotate and I'll stay in second or third wheel, you're usually very well looked after.
Yeah, clubs are generally... I know. No one looks after me. Clubs are generally really good as well. If you go along and say, I'd like to learn how to do, say, through and off, they'll do a little bit of that just to give everyone practice as well. It's something we can all work on.
Yeah, and getting in that sweet spot in the group is just brilliant, isn't it?
Feels amazing.
Well, there you have it. That's our 13 rookie errors there. Learning them all the hard way can be pretty painful, but now that you know, they should be that little bit easier to avoid.
If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because that really does help out the channel. Before you go, we want to know your rookie errors. What are the worst ones that you have made? It's a safe space. Put them down in the comments. We won't laugh too much. Say too much.
We've made plenty, so
we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.